and welcome to the Brain Development Podcast. We're here to show parents there is a pathway to healing the behavioural and learning symptoms of their autistic, dyslexic, ADHD, OCD, Asperger's, dyspraxic and dysgraphic child. And my purpose is to help empower parents to understand how they can build their child's brain from the bottom up to invoke change. And today we have Emily on with us. Emily is a parent that I have been working with over the past 6 months, I believe. And we've seen some incredible changes with her son. And what we wanted to do is just take everyone through the journey that Emily's been on with her little boy before the program, where they were with school and how school was helping them with their son. And then, from the moment that we met and did an assessment all the way through to now, and the changes that she's seen, and so has her husband and other family members, which has been a fantastic journey for me to watch, because it's a privilege to work with parents and actually do this. So Emily, it's lovely to have you.
Oh, thank you for having me. Yeah, no, it's lovely to be here.
So we met a long time ago, and we've known each other a few years, and I've reached out to you because of the cooking school that you were running and all of the education that you gave me during the time I was on Archie's journey with gluten and dairy free. So you helped me then. And then you reached out to me maybe, I think it was like February or March time, and you said, I'm going to need some help with my son. But at that point in time, what were you going through with him?
It was really tough. It was. I think for us, we'd always realised that Johnny has some sort of like restraints, I guess. We've been able to communicate, and we had explored already on our own accord. We went down the speech development route because we really wanted him to be able to communicate with us, and we noticed there was gaps. So we had got the Gestalt language processing, is that correct? And we had gone with that, and it had really helped. And Johnny's year in reception, our son's year in reception, the teachers were behind us. We were modelling sentences, they were modelling what he was trying to say at school, and we were all coming at it from all angles, so he was getting that same repetition and understanding, because he learns by a whole sentence rather than putting words together and figuring out how that sort of works. Like under the table, you would say, I've put the cup under the table. You'd have to put the whole sentence for him. And that was going along good. But the downside was that there was this emotion to him that he would feel really strongly. So he would get upset very quickly if something didn't quite go to plan. And if like we would prep him. So like if we were going to the zoo, for example, one day, we're going to go to the zoo, let's get everything ready, get to the car. I mean, that in itself is some feat, actually. Can you get your shoes on? He doesn't quite always do it in that order. And then we get to the zoo and they're closed that day. And it's like, oh gosh, haven't planned for this. So then he would like melt down. It would be crying, and we would be showing him like we can't go in, and he wouldn't understand. And he could understand, but he would be really upset that it wasn't just the zoo, it was other things, like friends are going to come round for a play date or something, and then they're poorly and they can't come. And then again, the sort of the strength of the crying and the emotions that were all wrapped up in it, it was so strong. I just knew that I needed to do something else, and it got to his birthday. I think it was April, actually, when I reached out to you.
Was it a bit later? Gosh.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he absolutely hysterical. It was the end of the party, and we none of us could console him. I tried, Chris tried, my mum tried, his nanny tried, everyone, and it went on for like 2 hours, and it was absolutely, I was so heartbroken, that I was a bit like, let's just pump the bouncy castle back up and it will all be okay, but then we just have to do it all over again. So at that point we started like looking into other areas. So we'd looked into what's it called, the occupational therapist wrote, and had discovered that he was a sensory seeker. Great, but what does this actually mean? What does it mean for us parents? What can I do to help him? And it was really tough, because like the more and more I was reading, and then I was trying to implement it, and it wasn't going to plan, and I just felt like at my wit's end. I want to help him, yet there's just all these barriers in place, and he wasn't like the sort of typical tick boxes for children with autism, or that sort of thing. I could tell there was something there. He'd go on his tiptoes if he got excited and or nervous or that sort of thing, but he did walk heel to toe, so I wasn't totally sure. And he is so social, massively. He has to be in there with everybody, and it absolutely breaks my heart that he can't communicate how he is. Like, can you play with me? Or it comes out all upside down, and and I can see the frustration in him, and he was getting quite frustrated. And with school, he started to he went into year 1, and the pressure comes on a bit more. They've got to be able to write, and he was like, I don't hold a pencil, my handwriting is gigantic, like the size of an A4 page. And I was a bit like, well, I don't want to push it, because it will come, but at the same time I'm looking at this going, I don't know how much longer I can wait, actually, because the more waiting that we do, is it going to be of help or benefit, because he's clearly got this dysregulation in him, and how can we help that? So that's how so the school asked for having another speech assessment test, which was great, and it happened at the same time that I got in contact with you. So I was just like, I'm not going to wait. I'm going to do both. There's no restrictions. Like, it's everything is worth a try. And so we got in touch with you, and well, the first session, we were in tears because we went for a meal, and normally Johnny is a mover, so he would be up, moving around the restaurant, under the table, all the things that you just have to sort of just take as part of him, And he said to the waitress, can I have some colouring in pencils and a word search, please? And we were just like, oh, I don't know if they do that. And she said, you're in luck. And she brought it over, coloured in the pictures, and did the word search. And Chris and I just both looked at each other, like, tears in our eyes, like, can this be happening? This is just phenomenal, How can doing some simple exercises, and you're not even targeting that, we're not specifically targeting speech, we're not specifically targeting emotions, we are looking at him as a whole, and taking the whole body into account. So those things like going up on tiptoes, we worked on that, and the palmer grass, we worked on that during your session, and it just was phenomenal.
So what we did, we did a full neuro assessment. So we did primitive reflexes, we did lots of vibrational activity on those reflexes. And then we went on to balance exercises, and we looked at some of his eye alignment, and, we were like, look, we need to really focus in on the foundation, which is those primitive reflexes first. And over a period of time, obviously those months that we've been working together, we've seen huge gains for him on his balance and his speech and, lots of other areas. But initially it was just those primitive reflexes. It was just, amazing after that first session that it had such a huge impact.
A really huge impact, and it's other things that kind of came with it. So it wasn't just the emotions, it was his ability to express himself. He then it just clicked, and he just went, "Mummy, I don't like doing that." And in the past it would have been no London, no sort of understanding. Like we would say, "Oh, we're going to go to Blue Water," for example, and he'd just come out with no London. And it's like, well, how does that figure? So then we'd have to understand where he'd picked this phrase up from to understand what he was trying to communicate to us.
Yeah.
Exhausting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the amount of lengthy speeches I had to give and to sort of to break this down and over time. And I was like, please, can somebody just come and help me a little bit, because I just need it myself, as a parent,
And that is the support that I offer and other people that I work with offer. That's exactly what we're doing. We're there to support you too, because it's tough anyway, but to be your child's therapist as well as, somebody who is trying to just not just function as a mum, but also you need to function as Emily too.
That's it.
And be that mother figure in the whole family, as well as that therapist and fitness trainer and, all the things that you become when you have a child that has behavioural and learning difficulties.
Yeah.
But, we saw each other on that day. We started a program together and I set those primitive reflex exercises. You bought the Resimax and you bought the smells and the glasses, and you started working on those reflexes. And then over that next month, you saw more changes and it's just carried on, which has been brilliant.
It has totally, it's almost changed his face shape. I can't, like his whole little person, and also his feet.
Yeah, you said that last time.
Totally changed. They've gone from being sort of like baby shaped, I don't know how to describe it, but not really like feeling the ground, to this big sort of foot that is in contact with the ground. And I guess he must feel a bit more grounded in that respect too.
Or he'll be able to use his body. Now those reflexes are really starting to integrate, and we're seeing that he's using his body in a different way, and that's helping the rest of his movements and function change, which is, the way it should have been. Those reflexes shouldn't have, gone past 12 months old, but, they have, and we can still continue to integrate them because he's so young. How old is he now?
6.5.
Yeah. So that is, it's still early enough to do it. And so tell me about the language that really started to come on, because that was also something, as well as the emotional regulation, you started to see within weeks. It was like better, and it's just continued, which has been really good.
Absolutely. So he kind of used to refer to himself as his name, Johnny, and it would be Johnny wants an apple. So instead of I, and like I said, for a good year with the teacher help too, we tried very hard with I, and it kind of was, it would still raise its head, so it would come back. I honestly couldn't tell you now the last time that he used that. So
it's really good.
Yeah, it's really, and he really does we were driving along in the car. That was the other thing. So this summer we've gone around the country and going to National Trust properties, and he has loved it, getting a stamp in his passport. And we were going along and he went, Mummy, Daddy, I just saw a brown sign which had Bodiam Castle on it. And I was just like,
so descriptive, isn't it?
Yeah. Like in the past, he would have just shouted Bodiam Castle or something like that, and we would have been like, where? You have to be like guessing and second guessing, so that you can communicate with them on their level and, you know, show them that they're heard. And I feel like I'm able to be a bit more my person now, whereas before I was just constantly working, you know, looking around me, describing the environment to him, or if he was like at a playground and somebody came over, he wouldn't necessarily always respond if someone said, "Play with me, Johnny," you know, or "Come and play with me." He would maybe just look at them, or and it was, I guess, internally, he must have just been like, either I don't want to do that, but I don't know how to say, or I do want to do that, but I'm nervous to do it, or something, you know. So, it's, and I would sort of be his voice, you know. I would look at him, he'd look at me, and then I would either respond, and then I would generally, on the whole, get it right from his body language. But, you know, if I got it wrong, he would go, "No," and then, you know, say something different. But, you know, I did definitely have to be there with him, present in all interactions. And and that's actually been quite like liberating for me, because now he can really go off, and I know that he's okay. Like the other day, we were on the school field for cake sale, and he comes running over and he goes, "Someone's hurt," and I was just like, oh my goodness, you know, like, wow, you know. In the past, he would have actually have screamed with the child that was hurt.
Really?
So he would have been crying and screaming, and it was I felt a bit cringy about it, you know. So I had to explain to the child, who was also looking at me very confused as to what was going on, like, oh no, he's feeling it with you, you know.
Yeah, he's trying to help.
It's just his way. Yeah. That's it. And so now I can, he kind of like understands a bit more and everything, and it's really, I can tell he feels, you know, just more confident. You know, so.
I think one of the biggest things that you told me, because obviously we started in April, May time, and we've worked together monthly over the summer, and we've changed the programs. But then going back to school, you told me something really special, which was, you know, a big milestone about the help that he now no longer needs.
Yes, so in year 1, he had to have a TA sat next to him, and she would write on the whiteboard, and then he'd copy off of that. Well, having gone back this September, they said, no, he doesn't need that anymore. He's a part of the class. He's writing on his own. He, you know, he does try it on, but we all do, don't we? He'll go, oh, I think I want to do choosing. And they're like, well, if you don't write your sentence now, then you'll be doing this in choosing. So he's like, oh, I'll write my sentence, you know, and it's just phenomenal. His handwriting is now like, is getting there. It's not quite into the sentence size that they would like, but for me, it's brilliant. You know,
well, it's a massive milestone.
A, you know, so yeah,
and that comes. He's got to go through that learning ability now, because he just wasn't able to with that palmar grasp to do that. So now he has to go through that process that all the kids have been in over the past 18 months or something. He's now got to go through that.
He's got a bit of catching up.
Yeah, but that will come. And it won't necessarily take the same amount of time. It will come much faster. And he's exceptional, isn't he? He's exceptionally intelligent in remembering things, as well as remembering names and maps. And like, he is just so smart. Road signs and road numbers. It's, you know, it's quite an exceptional skill. So he's definitely on that exceptional capability side of things.
Absolutely, yes. He has sure got a gift, and as you have said in your past episodes, you know, these gifts are what our journey is a part of. And if he hadn't had, I mean, I know he has a phenomenal memory. He'll say to me, Mummy, do you remember when we went on holiday 3 years ago that we saw this? And I'm like, okay, yes. You know, like, you are correct. We did do that, you know. So he likes to surprise me. And actually now he's only 6 and he knows all of his times tables, and it's just using it in a more sort of everyday life, which we're working on, but that comes with practice. And he loves singing as well. That's always been the slightly confusing thing for us with the speech, is loves to sing. Just Billy Joel. We went to a Billy Joel concert when he was 3. Loved it at Hyde Park. We still watch the videos. And I almost feel like that helped a bit too, because it's nice clear singing, for Billy Joel. So Johnny can hear the words, and now he's playing the piano too. So that musical side really comes out for Johnny, and he grows like 6 inches when it's like the school nativity or something like that. He just is. It's really funny how the speech for him is a bit of a hurdle, yet standing on stage and performing, he just loves it. So since we've been doing the primitive reflexes, we're just down to, is it like 2 now? Like I think it's the palmar grasp and the cheek one, and the others have integrated. That's just amazing. Absolutely. He used to be so ticklish on his back, and he's not as much now. And the strength is really coming in, and doing the exercises as well, coupled with it, it's giving him that core stability to be able to climb a tree or get back down, or swimming. He has actually been very good at swimming from a baby, but he was able to, I haven't been able to tell you this, he was able to master front crawl. So,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. Because all the coordination's coming.
That's it.
It's so good. And to move his body and to move his shoulders and arms together with the legs.
He loves doing breaststroke. That is his, if he was to have a thing, he'd jump in and just do breaststroke. And, the teacher said, when I started talking to her about the primitive reflexes, because she's actually a TA at another school, she was fascinated, and she said, now that makes sense, because breaststroke, it's just in the middle, whereas when you're crossing the midline with front crawl, that's harder.
Much harder.
So and you're not only just doing your legs, you're doing your arms, and
it's a whole coordination piece. And that ability has obviously been brought on by not only the strength, but the balance, and also the fact that we have been using both sides of the body and developing that weaker side, that immature side. We've been developing that. So therefore, both sides of the brain are starting to come together and connect, which is amazing.
Yes, it is. It's like I said, it takes the whole of the body into account, and I just can't. I'm so glad that somebody sat down and said, this makes sense, because the whole body is connected, it's great to be able to do something like an exercise, because you can take those 10 minutes as a parent to just say, everybody stand on one leg while you're brushing your teeth and do this, and just make it a bit of fun. And like we put the Superman music on when he does Superman.
Really, that's so good.
It's just, just anything, little thing to get him sort of engaged. And, because actually, hands up, we had a week where we were so busy, like, we had a bit of stuff going on at house. And I went to Chris by the weekend, dude, have you done any exercises this week? And he was like, and, it didn't actually show until, so it was a bit of delay. So we had, he was a bit upset leaving a party the other day. And I was just like, well, I think it's because we didn't do our exercises. And Chris was like, oh, yeah, I hadn't thought of that. So, yeah, it's so fascinating how it sort of pays in dividends. You do a small little bit. And actually, by the time you get past your third exercise, he's going, right, can we go bouncing the ball? And can we do this one? Can we do spinny chair? And,
he's so on it, though. He's the one that takes that's his control side, though.
Yes.
That's absolutely it. But it's great that you've stuck to the exercises, you've done it, you've been getting some of the results, and you're seeing a different little boy in front of you, which is great. Not only physically, but cognitively and, emotionally as
Yes.
well. It's really
Yes,
good.
absolutely. Well,
And you're getting a
he
break. You're getting the break
I
as well.
am.
Yeah,
Well, he wants to do more clubs at school now. Before he just wanted to come home and be
that's
with
right.
us,
Yeah.
and now he wants to do the sports club after school. For the
Wow.
last 2 years, he's refused to do it. So
That's
it
really
it
good.
really does help him become and try new things. You try different things and be
Mm.
confident, and just feel confident in his body.
Yeah. I think all you ever
Oh,
want is the best version of them in front of you. And you just want to enable that best version to be there. So I know
yes. I
that,
mean, he
go on.
I was going to say no. He's like delightful. He's very caring. When his sister was born last year, we were. Was it last year? Yes. Sorry, I'm getting muddled up with my years. He'd always ask me for a sister. Like when he was little, he was like, "Mummy, can I have a baby sister?" And I was like, "Oh, well, it doesn't really work like that." So, and anyway, he. I don't know if he's got some sort of like connection with the spiritual world, but because he occasionally will go to me, like, we're getting a hire car. He'll go, the hire car will be orange, and we're like, well, we'll have to see. That's
No.
quite an obscure colour, and then we get an orange car, which is like,
Wow.
okay,
Maybe he
so
does. Maybe he's got a higher connection in there too.
that's it.
All
So
these
with
kids
his
are
sister
special.
coming along, it's just things like he used to be quite heavy with his touching,
Yeah.
and also again that's lessened now because he with the vibrations on the Resi Max, it kind of just makes him a bit more aware of his
Hmm.
body in space and everything, and then he like we'll just say, is that gentle hands? And in the past we would have said gentle hands because we were sort of coming from a gentle parenting point of view, but he he wouldn't necessarily have quite understood what we were
Mm.
saying. There would be like that delay, and we would then have to maybe take his hands off or something.
Yeah.
But now he definitely knows,
Well, he's feeling his
and
body more
so
now, most definitely, and that's why he
that's
can
it.
control his body, and that's why going to sports club is an enjoyment, whereas before he wouldn't been able to coordinate and use his body as well
That's
as
it.
the other kids. And he's quite a competitive character, so he would have wanted to compete. So, but now he's probably feeling that he can, and he can be up there with those other children. It's all about the confidence in how you use your body. So
Yes,
it's really good. I'm so
absolutely.
pleased. And I know
Yeah.
you're doing some of the food side as well, and really watching his diet and doing testing and working with Vicky. So and that's a whole other area. But I'm so
Yes,
pleased that
absolutely.
you're getting the results with him. And that's, it's what I see day in, day out. And with other parents, I'm seeing them get their life back too. And it's really,
Yes.
it gives me goosebumps. I've got goosebumps like 3 times during this whole podcast. And I'm just,
Yeah.
it makes me feel so good that I'm actually able to help others get there the way I did.
Yes, I honestly cannot thank you enough for realizing that there was something amiss and just going forth and discovering all that you have, because you're giving us the tools, and as parents that's so important. Once you have the tools, you know how to do it,
Yeah.
and it's yeah,
I
lovely.
appreciate you coming on and sharing. Thanks, Emily.